Hello and welcome back to Mrs. Sharon's maternity leave series. I crack myself up, you guys. Today we need to talk about ser and estar. So ser versus estar. In your interactive notebook, see the floor video for how to set these up. You need 2 more flowers. You're going to fill one out for ser and one out for estar. So we discussed how verbs work, I think in the last video, and we said basically you have infinitives, to be, to study, to wear, and then you have conjugations, which is where you say who is doing the studying. So like if your verb is to study, then to study is your infinitive, and we have 2 conjugations, study and studies. So I study, but he studies. We study, but she studies. So those are your conjugations, study and studies. In Spanish, there are 6 conjugations for every verb. If that is starting to sound like a little much, I do have good news. Regular verbs are very, very easy. The bad news is irregular verbs, you have to memorize 6 words. So that's kind of the irritating thing. So tener, we discussed, tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen. You don't want to forget that one because it's very, very important. But for ser and estar, they both mean to be. And I think, I'll just do this on 2 different slides. So ser is to be, and we'll discuss the difference here in a bit. But on your flower, yo on one side. To say I am, you say soy. And we've seen that one with your name. Soy Senora Sharon. I am Mrs. Sharon. For the to conjugation, add an accent to that you. Really important. Without the accent, it means your. So you with an accent means you. And the conjugation that goes with you is eres, and that means you are. Now, let me pause here and remind you, you will never say yo eres or tu soy. That would be like saying I are going swimming later. I sound like I don't speak very good English if I say I are going. It's always I am. Am is the only conjugation in English of to be that makes sense. Same thing in Spanish. Soy is the only conjugation that works out with the verb yo. Or I'm sorry, with the pronoun yo. So just like tener, you don't mix and match these. Yo goes with soy. Tu goes with eres. For usted, él, and ella, and put an accent on that E and L. All 3 of those go with S. And S for usted would also mean you are. So remember the difference between tu and usted. Tu is informal you. Usted is formal you. So if you want to say you are very nice, if the person you're talking to, you'd be on a first name basis, you'd say eres muy simpático. If the person, you call them Mr., Mrs., Doctor, something like that, you're going to say usted es muy simpático. Él es would mean he is. Ella es means she is. And those are all the singular pronouns. So then we have our plural pronouns. So nosotros, the conjugation is somos. So somos means we are. Vosotros, that's the one you have my permission to forget for high school. But sois means you all are. That is the one that is just in Spain. If you're in Spain, that's the informal you all are. For ustedes, ellos and ellas, they always have the same conjugation. And that conjugation for ser is son. So ustedes son is you all are. Ellos and ellas son means they are. And remember the difference between ellos and ellas. Ellos is boys, ellas is girls. If they is both boys and girls, you're going to go with ellos. You always default to the more masculine, you default to the more formal. So those are your two defaults. So that's where you're going to start with that flower. Yo on one side, soy on the other. Tú on one side, eres on the other. Usted, él, and ella all together on one side, es on the other side. Nosotros on one side, somos on the other. Vosotros on one side, sois on the other. Ustedes, ellos, and ellas, all three together on one side, and son on the other. All right, so those are your conjugations for ser. Estar, same thing. It also means to be. So that is weird. And same deal. Yo goes with estoy. And that means I am. To, get an accent on that U, really important. And that goes with estás, which means you are. Now there needs to be an accent on this A right here. In fact, let me just see if I can figure out how to get that in there. Special characters. There we go. My goodness. Please. Well, kind of wish I'd looked at this before we started this video. There we go. All right. So estás with an accent on the A there. I'm not going to spend a ton of time trying to find my accent of you, but I'm going to need that A. So yo estoy, tú estás. I am, you are. Then we have usted, él, accent on the E and L. Without the accent, it means thee. With the accent, it means he. And just like all of our other verbs, they all share the same conjugation. And that conjugation for these three is está. So usted está, él está, ella está. And those will translate differently. Usted está means you are, and that's the formal version. Él está means he is. Ella está means she is. Then over here we got our plurals. Nosotros. If you haven't memorized these pronouns yet, by the way, you need to get there. You're behind the curve. Vosotros, ustedes, ellos, and ellas. So nosotros goes with estamos, and that's going to mean we are. Vosotros is estáis, accent on that A there, and that's you all are. That is the one that is just in Spain. And then ustedes, ellos, and ellas, of course, share the same conjugation, and that conjugation is están. So if you're working on your flower, you guys know what to do. Yo on one side, estoy on the other. Tú on one side, estás on the other. Usted, él, and ella all together on one side. Está on the other, and so on. Ustedes están translates as you all are. Ellos and ellas están translate as they are. So that's got you set up as far as conjugations go. Now, to practice these verbs, I really recommend that you go to conjuguemos.com, practice tener, ser, and estar. Now, tener, you've already been tested over. That's not going to come back up on this test, I don't believe, but you still don't want to forget about it. Ser and estar, those will be on this test, and you will need to know how to conjugate them, and you will need to know the difference. So that's where you start, is just knowing what the conjugations are. Now, here is the difference between ser and estar, and this is where I want you to write some notes in your interactive notebook. So, ser versus estar. Let me add in another box here. So, this side will be ser, and I don't remember how to add that in. Text box, there we go. And this side will be estar. All right, so here's the basic thing. Ser, if you really want to understand it, that is differentiating qualities. Things that make you who you are. So if you said, hey, do you know Sarah? The answer is yes, I know a lot of Sarahs. I went to school with about 1 million Sarahs. I've taught a lot of Sarahs. So I'm going to say, yeah, I know Sarah, but I don't know which Sarah you're talking about. I'm going to need more information. So I am going to need you to tell me some differentiating qualities of which Sarah you're talking about. So if you tell me, well, she is a doctor, that really, really narrows it down. I don't know a lot of Sarahs who are doctors. So if you tell me what her job is, if you tell me, oh, well, she's from California, that's her origin. So that would give me a lot more information. I don't know a lot of Sarahs who are from California. If you tell me she's blonde, that would really characteristics. That would really narrow it down for me. I know you're not talking about any of the brunette Sarahs that I know. If you tell me, well, she's really smart or she's really funny, then all the not smart or not funny Sarahs I can cross off my list there. So that's really the main idea, is just differentiating qualities. We could go on, we could add 1 million things to this list. But if you tell me their job, or that they're a student, or that they are on the basketball team or something like that, origin, physical characteristics, personality traits, those are all ser. Estar really comes down to two things: location and feelings. So if you tell me, she is in the library, that's not a differentiating quality. I'm standing right here, I'm not in the library. I don't know which Sarahs are in the library. So that's not helping me at all. Well, she's happy at the moment. Again, that could be any of the Sarahs that I know. So location and feelings are estar. Pretty much everything else is ser. So if you're trying to make life easy on yourself, feelings and location estar. If it's something else, use ser. If you're really trying to understand it, I would get this differentiating qualities thing down. And if you're really trying to make life simple on yourself, go back to your vocab list. It gives you a list of which verbs are used or which adjectives are used with ser and which adjectives are used with estar. So you can go with that if you're just trying to make it through Spanish 1. So either of those is good. So continue working on this. Do your voces stuff. If this did not help you much at all, YouTube is your friend. Go in there, type in ser versus estar. There are 1 million explanations on there. So good luck. Keep working hard. Mrs. Oliveros should be here very, very soon.